Do I really have to do cardio?
No.
How do we know if I'm overtraining?
Athlete ready?
Should I cut weight for this
Go.
competition?
How much protein am I supposed to have?
Is it ironic that a podcast about Strongman is hosted by a woman?
I think that's kind of the point.
Welcome back to Lift and Load. This week's guest really doesn't need much of an introduction. If you've seen a high-level strongman competition, you've probably seen her face, but you've definitely heard her voice. Nicola Buchan joins us all the way from Scotland this week to share her fairly unorthodox take to her strongman career, how it has completely changed her life, her health, her view on the world, and how she is trying to change the sport right along with it. Lauren joins me this week, so we get to talk a little bit more about not only her take, but also the outside perspective of how to navigate this thing, how to be a mom, how to balance it all, and more importantly, how to stay true to yourself. So with that, it's time to lock in, lift heavy, load up, because this is not another technique video. All right, guys, first off, thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode. I feel like I always, Lauren, you can check me on this. I always start these and I'm like, I'm so excited to bring you this week's, but I'm like legitimately always excited to bring people these episodes. But it's so genuine because this sport has, and honestly, strength sports and health and fitness has so many personalities and has so many different backgrounds. And it's so easy to get written off as, oh, you're a whole bunch of jocks picking things up and putting things down. And every single time I talk to someone, it's completely different. They have a different background, they have a different passion, and a different way that they got to where they are. So with that, I'm very excited to show people this week. And we have Nicola with us, who, if you are familiar in the strongman world, you've probably heard her voice or seen her face. If you have a sense of humor, you might follow her on Instagram. And so, Nicola, if you could tell us a little bit, give us the Reader's Digest, like, who are you? How'd you get into strongman? And then I want to talk a little bit about your very interesting position within the sport and how, while you are an athlete, you are kind of so much more. So please take it away.
Okay, hi guys. I am Nicola Buchan. I am a gym owner, mum of two, coach, strongman athlete. So I got into strongman about 4 or 5 years ago. I was looking for something different, something to focus on. And somebody mentioned, oh, you're pretty strong. Why not go and give this strongman class a go? So I thought, okay, cool, I'll go and have a go. And went in, loved it. And that day booked a competition for like 2 weeks later and won that comp. And that was me hooked after that. I loved the sport. I loved lifting heavy. I loved how my muscles were changing. Even with like just 2 weeks of training, I just felt bigger. And the community and just everybody, I just love meeting people. And I was like, this is definitely for me. And the rest is history. After that, I just absolutely loved the sport from the day I was a part of that community.
So you're based out of UK.
Yeah, Scotland.
And so, I mean, first off, we had a really cool, very quick side note, we had a really cool conversation the other week with John Banks, who's an athlete here, who's recently gotten into the Highland Games. So thank you for Scotland's contribution to all things strength sports. I will be finding ways to throw telephone poles one day. But so how did you even find the sport? Because I feel like the UK does have, or at least to me, a bit of a strongman seems these days to be bigger, or at least the athletes tend to be bigger. There's just a whole lot more attention. Or is that my very narrow worldview of I just hear everyone have cool accents and I'm jealous? That could be it?
Well, for me, it's a little bit different. I know there's probably lots of people that'll say, I've followed it for years and years and years and I've loved it. And I knew what strongman kind of was. Like I'd seen it on the TV and seen bits and I'd seen the Highland Games and things. But the person that actually got me interested in not just strongman, but lifting weights was Eddie Hall, which is such a cliche. Everybody probably says Eddie Hall, but it was. Because I remember my ex-husband being like, did you see this guy lift 500 kilos? Ah, my God. And that's kind of what got me into lifting.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, and then I kind of started looking more into like strongman. Never really thought much of it. I was very much a cardio kind of person as well. So I loved like CrossFit and things. And then it wasn't until I actually tried some movements in strongman, you know, like log, monster dumbbell and things, that I really, really got into it. So for me, it wasn't that I'd watched it for years and years. It actually was like I'd seen bits. I actually trained it, and that's how I fell in love with it. I trained it, then I got obsessed with all the rest of the stuff.
Got it. I mean, that's similar. I mean, I didn't have. It's so funny, actually. So I didn't get into strongman because I knew a big guy or I saw a big guy. I got into it because I saw. There's no good way of phrasing this. I knew a little guy. I knew an 80 kg who happened to get me into the sport, and so it is so interesting the different ways that people finally get into it and actually make things work. So as you were kind of navigating, you nailed it when you said you're a mom, right? Like, were your kids training with you? Were you side hustling athletics on the side? Like, how did you make that work balance wise?
My kids have always, I started training after I had my daughter. So my daughter was premature, and that's when I started my fitness journey, started losing weight. I didn't go to a gym. I ran and walked. That's how it started. I walked first, then I started running with a pram, and then I had my son, and then I wanted to start lifting weights before I got married. And then I quickly became qualified. So there was a lot of stuff I did at home, but when I qualified, I actually worked in a little studio. So I took the kids with me to work. So they seen me coach training, they seen me coach other people, they seen me training, they did classes with me. Like in lockdown, we did live classes every day for the community, and they are in them. I've actually got videos of them doing the classes with me. So they have been not only in my strongman journey, but throughout my whole fitness journey, from being really overweight to now. I've always taken them with me. And now I own my own gym. They train with me, which is even cooler. And my daughter has actually won a strongman competition when she was 12.
No way.
She's now retired. She says, one and done.
This from now on, she's all on the strongman for kids.
Yeah, she's like, I've won now. I'm good. So she's,
Oh, I love that.
yeah, she's just like, what else do I need to do? I've won. Whatever. Don't need to prove anything else. I love it. I'm like, go girl.
Yeah, exactly.
Go girl. But she's more soccer. She's more like a soccer gal. So it was just like getting out the comfort zone kind of thing for her. And my son, he loves training strongman. So he just comes in and does bits and bobs whenever he wants. So it's great. Love it.
Yeah. I almost have a similar experience. Like when I started my fitness journey, you know, my daughter, she was about 5 or 6, and I was overweight too. So she got to see from the beginning up until now. You know, she would go to the gym with me. She would do exercise at home with me now. And even now she watches everything that we do in the gym.
Love it.
And she trains more of like powerlifting style. So her and her friend, they did a powerlifting comp last August.
Oh my God, it was the cutest thing. It was the tiniest singlets you've ever seen in your life.
I know, I loved it.
Fit on my thigh, the singlet. Like, it was the tiniest thing, but and they crushed it. Didn't she get like a 98-pound deadlift? Like at 40 pounds. That's relevant.
Yeah, twice her body weight. I know.
Yes. I love it.
Proud mom moment. I know.
I love them.
And that kind of led me to start my own. So I just started my own it's called Strongman Institute. We actually just started yesterday. And it's kids learning fundamental movements, but also incorporating strongman implements and just having fun. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, so I am huge on young people getting involved. So when I open the gym, I actually have a teen membership where teens can come in from 4 p.m. till 5 p.m. Every weekday and use the gym as if they're a gym member. It's not a class. You come in, we've got coaches there to support you. Do whatever you want. So that I always feel that my kids have been very fortunate where when they are older, no matter where they are in life, they will always have somewhere to go where they feel safe, the gym, because they will know how to use it. They're not going to be scared. They're going to go, doesn't matter if they're in a job where it's maybe a bit challenging or they're studying and then, they haven't really connected with anyone. They can go to a gym and make a connection because they know they can walk in there with confidence. And I was so fortunate to be able to take the kids to the gym before I had my own, that as soon as I opened my own, I was like, this is so important that kids know how to use the gym. It's horrible when you have a 50-year-old male or female come in, they're like, oh, I'm terrified to come in. I'm like, you shouldn't be. You're 50 years old. Like, you should be, like, this is not okay. Like, people should be able to walk into a gym and know what they're doing. So do that. And then I have got my younger kids as well, my strong kids class, and they do all like your strongman events and stuff. And I love them so much. They're hardcore. Kids have none. They're like, you want me to lift that log?
I know.
Let's go. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Zero self-preservation. It's unbelievable.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's incredible. And so, okay, you've both said something that I want to circle back around because nothing drives me more nuts. And I'll focus on women for just a moment where they go, I don't want to lift weights. I'm going to get bulky. And both of you, I know, everyone twitch at the same time. And so, but both of you went on a weight loss journey through literally the most strong many of picking up things and putting them down and doing weights. And you did it to counteract the bulk, for lack of a better word, right? And so I kind of want both of your perspectives. So I've always been more or less like this size. I kind of like change in like I'm a little wider, I'm a little bit smaller, but I've always been a pretty like thicker or larger kid. So I have always kind of managed weight. I've always strength trained. I never really had a point where I was like, I need to get into lifting in order to counteract something. So I don't really have as much of that perspective. But what makes you both think one could be like a source of why people feel that way, besides obviously like the media and etc. And how do we convince the world that strength training will actually just make everything really nice and it'll snatch you and you will feel toned and whatever buzzword you want that day? But it can make people feel really lean and strong and probably get that physique that people actually want, but they're afraid to get there.
So where it stems from is, fitness has changed massively in the last, few years, hugely. I would say in the last 10 years, it's gotten more popular, fitness, where I think before that, I even remember when I started my fitness journey, I didn't really know about lifting weights and stuff. I just did classes. I did a lot of running, did a lot of cardio, not because I didn't want to get bulky. I just didn't really know. But when I did start looking on social media and looking at other people, the bulkier people were athletes. And so you assumed that if you lifted weights and trained like an athlete, and you were quite naive, that is just how you would look, because the normal everyday person wasn't really on social media. The people that were on social media that were exercising were the athletes. And they, as an athlete, you are going to have a lot of muscle mass. No matter what sport you do, there's going to be some amount of muscle mass somewhere in the body, depending on the sport that you're doing. So that's all we had to compare to was like, oh, but if I then start lifting weights like they are, I'm going to get bulky. I think now people are showing the normal people that exercise, the normal people that lift weights, and you don't need to look bulky. If that's not what you want, that's not what you're going to achieve, because that's not what you're trying to get to. But I think as well, like you're saying, lifting weights, I mean, it's so important. Everyone should lift weights. Like everyone in the whole world should be lifting weights. But I think people need to realize that if they get the right coach and the right help, whatever their goal is, they will achieve. If the goal is not to be bulky, then you won't. It takes years to get like that. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years and I'm nowhere near as jacked as I would love
trying
to be.
so hard. I would love to be bulky. I'm eating so much food.
I want to be so big.
Stop working. Like, if you come into fitness and you turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger in one session, I hate you.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's another, like I said, as the fitness started coming about, it was a lot of bodybuilding to start with. Like bodybuilding was like really, really, really it still is, but really popular and was more out there. So people just assumed that is what you're going to look like a bodybuilder on the stage. I'm like, no, that is hard to look like that. You're not going to go into the gym for a couple of weeks and lift some weights and look like that. That takes a lot of dedication, a lot of years. If that's the goal, you'll get it. If it's not, then you're not just going to get up, look at a dumbbell, and be like, it's just not going to happen. So I think it's just through social media and people not understanding things, and just being naive to what our bodies actually can do and can't do.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. I never had the perception of that though. Like if you lift weights, you'll get bulky. I just never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of went into strength training not knowing shit at all. That's why I hired a coach to begin with. You know, so he directed me in the right direction there. But yeah, I never really paid attention to social media too much on.
You are in the minority, my friend.
I know.
Yeah, well, when I started, social media wasn't really a big thing. So I was the same. I just moved my body to lose weight. Running was free when I started. Walking was free. So it was easy to take the kids, like my daughter with me. So I started that. And it was only when I actually started doing classes with weights that I was like, what is that? What is that? And my class instructor was like, oh, that's muscle. I was like, I want more.
Right. I know.
I was like, what? I want this bumps. Where do they all go? And then I started looking into it and I was like, oh my God, these bodies are amazing. But I did still think, oh, but I'm not an athlete, so I'll never look like that. I remember actually saying, I want to look like an athlete and I want to be an athlete, but I don't think I can. And that because I thought, I've got kids, I work, like, I can't be a full-time athlete. And then that quickly changed to, actually, I'm fucking definitely going to be one. And then here we are.
Let's go. And that's such a good point because you, and that's why I alluded to in the beginning, you're so much more than an athlete too, right? So you then got into coaching, you started a gym, and you now are, so I saw you running around at OSG. It was very easy to find you, by the way. The skirts help. You're like the only person in the building wearing a skirt. You were very identifiable in the crowd. And then you're always at the commentator booth. How did you get into, because you're up there talking with some of the biggest names of the sport. And did you ever imagine you'd get there? How did that path happen? Because your voice and the ability to communicate to so many people and just be engaging, that's a skill. How'd you do it?
So I've always been good at talking. My mom and dad have always said that I'm good. I just find that very natural. I don't overthink it. You'll see on anything I do, it's so natural because I do not know how to be anyone else. I can only be myself. I just could not be bothered to try and force anything. I literally just say what I think and what comes into my brain. Which is a good thing and a bad thing because a lot of there's sometimes where I'm really, really low energy and you can see it, but I just can't fake it. I just can't fake my energy. If it's not there, I will be a little bit quieter, which is annoying because I want to give it everything, but I just can't fake it. Anyway, how I got into it was a friend of mine, we'll give him a shout out, William, hi. He called me one day and he was like, Nicola, you should do some MCing for the comps. You know a lot about the sport now, you're passionate about it. And I was like, oh, no. I'm an athlete. I want to compete. And he was like, but you can't compete in every competition. So maybe you could do it for England's because you can't compete in England's. And I was like, no, well, maybe. And then I got a call and he'd obviously recommended me. And the guy said, look, we really want you to come and do MCing for England's Strongest Woman because we would, the ladies are saying they really would like to see a woman commentating for them. And you talk really well. We've heard your podcast. Can we get you down? And I was like, it's a free ticket to go and see a strongman competition and meet some of the girls in England.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm in. See some of my friends. And then the minute I did it, the evening after I did day one, I was hooked. I was like, I need to do this all the time. And then it got slightly bigger competitions. And then I remember the women's sport in strongman was obviously getting bigger. And I was like, there's still not a woman commentating these big competitions for these ladies. And I was like, yeah, I'm not having that. I'm going to do it. And then I was like, well, if I can do it for the women, I'm also going to do it for the men. So I started doing men's competitions. I was like, there's no reason why I can't do it. I know these people. I know all these people. So slowly started building up. And then I just decided that I was getting on Giants Live and that was it. Because I thought, well, if I'm commentating all these ones, why can I not do for the big guys and grow the sport in a different way to the women? I'm not an open competitor, so I knew I couldn't grow the sport for the open women, which then in turn helps, the weight class women. So I thought, well, what other ways can I do that? Can I help grow the sport and get people into it and not only show that you can compete in it, anyone can, but you can also just be a part of it. You don't need to compete. You can be a part of it in so many ways. So that was that. And then I just said to my friend, this will be the first and last time I queue for Giants Live, because the next time I'm here, I'll be working for them. And I was. That was it.
You called your shot. That's awesome.
I just annoyed enough people to get a yes. Literally.
Now, that's something I did want to ask, like, for anyone who is looking to get more involved in the sport, even other than commentating, do you have any other suggestions to people about how to get more involved?
Just ask to come and help, like local competitions, be willing to travel. Like I drove all over Britain to go to different competitions just to even watch, so people knew my face. I would just go and sit and watch the competitions, and they were like, this girl keeps showing up. Like, yeah, but because I want to be a part of it, and if you're not going to let me, then I'm going to come here and watch it. And I started to talk. Just started talking to people. Like, if you want to get involved in the sport in any way, then you need to be in the sport. You can't just expect that opportunity to come your way. You have to go and get it. Don't just sit there and hope, oh, maybe someday somebody will ask me to help out at OSG. No. Go and watch OSG. Go and meet the people that are running it. Go and tell them they've done a good job. Go and offer your support and keep offering until you get a yes. Don't wait. Go and get it. You got to put yourself in the right positions.
And so that kind of speaking of that too, I want to bring it to your presence then on social media. And so you took that commentary and you took that knowledge and connections, and then you found a really fun way to bring it to the masses. And so one thing I noticed immediately when I was taking a look, when we were like, okay, let's bring some people on the show, etc., you came up and I think doom scrolled your page for like 5 minutes. You're fucking funny. And so it was so good. And I will say to everyone listening, we're absolutely going to link your social media platforms, because like you got to follow this girl. But one thing I didn't notice is it wasn't a, this is how you deadlift. It was a, look at my deadlift, and you're like posing. And it is not a giant, like, this is how I do a log press. And there's a lot of those videos, and they're great. And the technique videos help so many people. That's not you. You're not just another coach out there saying, this is why my log press is better than your log press. What made you kind of take that avenue? Because it's actually not the norm.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And I have been criticized it before when I've done business courses, when they're like, you need to start putting out how you coach and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, right. The people that stay with me for coaching stay with me for me, because they like me and we have built a relationship. So for me, if somebody wants to coach with me, it doesn't matter how good I am at explaining how to press log. There's millions of us out there. It's whether we can build a connection. So that, for me now, thinking about my social media, that's important. Like, I want somebody to come because we are going to have a connection, because it's going to last longer. We're going to work better together. But for me also, I just like having fun. And if you're not having fun, then what's the point? So I just didn't want to be serious. Like, I tried the videos with okay, guys, let's go over technique. It was so fake for me. Like, I do it. That is my job. And I can do that when I'm working. But making social media content for me is enjoyable. I love making it. So I wanted to separate it from my work, and I just wanted it to be more natural. I feel like when I'm filming myself, given an instruction, you are thinking about it. You are thinking about what you're having to say. So it's not as natural flowing as I would be if I'm like, good, deadlift like Lucy Underdown. Like, literally, that is what I do, whether there's a camera or not.
Right.
And you can ask any of my gym members, where I'll just be talking to myself like, now we're going to do this, and I'm going to put on this sleeve, and I just talk to myself the whole time. And then I just started realizing that instead of just like cutting that bits out and sending a video to my coach, maybe I should just use it for content. And it is literally, that is what I do. The singing, the dancing, the talking to myself, the making shit up, like that is literally just my camera filming my sets. One, it saves me so much time. Two, I am crazy. So it's funny to share that is just how I am.
I love that, though.
I've been very invested in that.
Yeah, and then it just became quite popular, and people were enjoying it. And I was like, if it makes somebody's day a little bit better, I will continue to put up my crazy talking to myself if that's going to help people. Like, it's not, I don't plan my content. I literally just put my camera on, move it around, and just talk whenever I want to talk. Sometimes my sessions are completely silent, and I use them as well. And something stupid happens, and I'm like, oh, that's hilarious, let's post that. But yeah, that's it. It's just me. It's just me filming myself. That's it. So it was quite easy. It's quite easy to do, and it is different. I'd hate being the same as everyone else. I don't. If I see something trending, I'm like, I'm definitely not doing that. Even if I think it's gonna be a good shout, I won't do it because I'm just like, I'm bored of seeing it already. Why would I? Like, I don't want to watch it, so I'm not gonna fucking make it, am I? I don't even want to watch it.
And so I've been following your sandbag escapades.
Oh God.
Speaking of random content, how's it going?
It's a love-hate relationship with that fucking bag. Anyway, it's okay. It's okay. It is improving, but I still hate that guy. He's so annoying. It's when it gets stuck, and people message me and they're like, "Why do you not just shake the frame?" I'm like, "I've shook the frame. It doesn't come down. Of course I've shaken the frame."
I have never seen anyone fail so many times in that particular manner that it's so impressive. I'm like, because don't get me wrong, like when I miss a sandbag, I'm going to miss a sandbag. I'm like throwing it way too many meters backwards. I'm not getting it high enough, but you get it perfectly hooked on this pole.
Every time. Every time.
I think that's your talent. Like that. This is a new, okay. Strongman started pretty much in the circus, right? It was all like exhibition. Go join the circus and just see how many times I can like fuck up the sandbag. Let's go. And like just see what happens. I say that. And I mean, it's hard. It's a very hard event. So.
It is, but it's not though. The thing is, like, when you look at it, it's like, how hard can it be? That's how hard it can be when the fucker gets stuck in the freezing cold and you can't even leave it. Because what happens is my young kids come and then I get there and they're like, "We got it down for you." And I'm like, "Did you climb up there?"
Of course they did.
And they're like, "Yeah." So I'm like, now I can't leave it because I know that the teens all climb. And if you fall and break your neck, your mom's going to kill me.
Yep.
So now I can't even just like ignore it till the next time. I have to get it down. And I'm not tall enough to use my stick, which everyone's like, "Just use a stick." I'm like, "My stick's too short. Okay. I need a longer stick."
Get a longer stick. It's fine.
And then it's like, shake it. And I'm like, I've tried. It just is like hooked perfectly. So I have to hit it down with this other bag. It's getting there, but I don't think it's ever going to be an event that I'll particularly be amazing at. And that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Like, what events do you like? So I'm assuming it's not sandbags. So like, what are like, when you look at a comp and you're like, "Oh, I'm doing that. That's my jam right there."
Yeah. So I love anything that's really hard. So what I mean by that is like mentally challenging. So really heavy farmers, love that. I love grip events. So nickel stone walk, because it just kills you. The wrecking ball hold, I think I would absolutely love that. I've never done it, but I know for a fact just the grit you need to put into it. Really, really heavy yoke. Like ones you can't run with, ones that like crush the soul.
Yeah.
Love that.
I just came back from OSG, remember? That car crushed my soul and my spine.
That is my dream events. I love them. I just love anything that's crushing me, like my soul. Where you're like, you got to dig deep to get it done. That's the shot I love. I love that. Not like out of breath stuff, but like, you're like, I love that. Anything like that, I'm good.
Yeah, Christina fought hard for her life under that yoke.
A whole 15 feet, baby.
Yeah.
Listen.
Hey, girl, I was so jealous of that car walk and the wrecking ball hold. And everyone was like, "You wouldn't like it if you were in it." I'm like, "I bet you I would." But I love it.
It was that, by the way, that I'm a little afraid of you now, for the record, because that might indicate that like some screw is not all the way there, but I love you for it at the same time. So we're good.
Have you not realised that yet? There's something not right.
Yeah, it's fine.
established. It's established. I'm a bit crazy.
No, it's good. We need that because I mean, and we were talking about this, and when we chatted with you in the beginning, you're like, there's again so many people that are just brilliant. It's almost like watching technique reviews and scientists, and there's so much just brilliance in the sport that can be very dry. You need a couple nutters out there. You need a few people that just like bring the fun to it because if something's not entertaining, people aren't going to do it ultimately at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And they have to know it's something you can just have fun with. I mean, I tell people I do strongman and they're like, oh, that's hardcore. They're imagining like screamo and death metal, which that does happen in the gym, but I almost never mind. Like listen, Lauren, you guys left the gym yesterday and I cannot tell you how quickly I put on Taylor Swift. Like, oh, listen, it was fun for me. Okay. But there's so many different varieties of people. And if you don't see it, you don't know.
Well, exactly. And that's another reason why I wanted to get into like the commentary and things like that, because they do just see the Terry Hollins, the Eddie Halls, Big Laws. And then that's what people that don't know assume, men or women. Oh, you can only do that. So then I thought, well, if I talk and it's very well known that I'm an athlete, and then people follow me and they see me listen to Venga Boys, Celine Dion, singing all the ballads while I'm training, listening to the dance music, still like wearing whatever I want to wear, with the makeup, without the makeup. Like, it's so relatable for so many people that they'll be like, oh my gosh, she like wears makeup. She likes to get nice dressed and she listens to Celine Dion. I could do that too. You don't have to, like you're saying, listen to heavy metal and be a bald, massive guy. Like, you can be any size, shape, whatever. Like, there's so much stigma to how people look in strongman. I think it's obviously changing now, but that was like the huge part of it, is that I was the only one in my town kind of doing strongman, especially a female. There was a few others, but not really. They weren't really well known or anything. And then when I opened the gym, I got more people in it, and it was because they realized, oh, she's normal. I'm normal. So it means I can do it. And I'm like, absolutely. And that's always the goal, is just to like, if you like it, excellent, do it. If you don't like it, cool, find something else. That's it. Doesn't matter who you are. And I love, that's why I like the sport so much, because anyone can do it.
We kind of touched on this in another episode too, like I'm normal, I'm a mom, and then I kind of jumped into it. And I think like going back to like social media, I think it's kind of important for me when I post on it. I've had so many people reach out to me just looking to get into the sport, and even Chris.
I love that.
It's the important part for sure. So I want to I can't talk to you and not talk about the fact that you're not just strongman. So for some reason, you're psychotic enough to run excessively as well. So can you tell the listeners a little bit about your marathoning journey?
Oh, yes. Let's talk about it. So I'm actually not a runner, but I do running challenges. So that's what I do.
Good clarification.
Yeah. So because, I want, it's very important that people know I don't train for these marathons. The reason being is it symbolizes for me that no matter how unprepared you feel, because we can't always be prepared for challenges in life, that if you take one step in front of the other, you will get to your end destination. You will get there. So I don't train for these marathons. Like, I did an ultramarathon in 2019. I trained for that. I used to run quite a lot. Once I started strength training, I prioritized that. I stopped running. But last year in 2024, I knew at the start of the year I wanted to do stuff for charity. And I knew from my past charity events, I would have to do things that were quite extreme, because that's what I'd done in the past. So, doing a bake sale wasn't going to be enough for me, my personal opinion, for people to want to donate a lot of money, because they'd be like, oh, well, she did like an ultra marathon 2 years ago. Why is she not doing something bigger? So last year I ran 18 marathons in 18 days. I think before I did that, I'd run 10K. And in December, I did a ultra marathon. I did 100 miles consecutively. It took me 36 hours to do.
How did your body hold up to that?
So the 18 marathons, my body was sore, obviously. it's going to be. I had niggles in different places, but it was fine. I deadlifted 190 the week after I finished the 18 marathons. I prioritized my recovery, my nutrition, my hydration. So instead of like essentially physically training, because I knew my body was capable, it's fit, it's strong, it's healthy. I knew my body could do it. It was more of a mental challenge. And the charity that I was raising the money for was very important to me. So I knew that I had a big enough why. But the most important thing to finish those 18 marathons was the hydration, the fueling, and the recovery. So I made sure that I was prepared in that sense as opposed to the training. My body was fine with that. The 100 miles, that's a different story. My body did not like that.
My body doesn't like hearing about it.
The 18 marathons was fine. Like, really, it went really well. There was times that I had really sore bits, but I did manage to run I think I only walked one of the marathons in the middle because I had a really bad sprained ankle. And I just decided that I knew I still had 9 to go. So I just walked that one. But every other marathon, I ran a good section of each one of them. But the 100 miles, I did 47 miles. It was flying. I got like a 40-minute PB on my marathon time. It was amazing. And then I hurt my Achilles 47 miles in. And I had to like hobble around the rest of it. And that was pretty brutal. That has taken me out. I'm still recovering from that, I think. So that was pretty hard. Yeah. So I wasn't well going into it, so I got really ill at OSG and came home and did that. But my body is still not right from that 100 miles, which is crazy because the 18 marathons in 18 days you'd think would have been worse, but it wasn't. The 100 miles really tipped me over the edge.
A couple things I'm struggling over here. So you did them consecutively. I heard sprained ankle, and then I heard 190 deadlift. So to clarify, you're talking kilos in this?
Yeah, so the week after I finished the 18 marathons, I still managed to pull a 190 deadlift quite easily.
So for those of us that are listening, in the US, this woman pulled 400 something pounds. So to give you a quick conversion for the Americans who aren't going to do that kilo, that's insane. Like, you're insane and in the best way possible. Talk about no excuses. I mean, that's something that the body is capable of so much more than we think. I've heard people that go, oh, my back's a little tweaked today. This isn't this. Oh, I guess I'm going to take this week off of training.
No. Mm-mm.
You could do other things. I promise.
Oh, definitely. And the thing is as well, it's all mental. If your body's strong enough, you look after it. It's all in your head. Like, there is times that you're going to have to rest and be sensible. Like, I have done that the last 2 weeks. I've still trained, but I can only do what I can do. Like, my body has really, really, it's paying the price now for obviously what I've put it through this year. It was so worth it. I've raised a lot of money for charities. I've pushed myself. But so on a deeper note, I'm speaking about it being more mental, was during that 100 miles, I did get to the point where for the first time in a long time, I didn't think I was going to be able to complete it. And in that moment, I felt so weak and so down, and I was at a really low point, but I still was not as bad as I felt when I was like struggling mentally a few years ago when I had, I was really, really depressed and in a bad place. Although I pushed my body and myself mentally and physically, when in that 100 miles, I still didn't feel as bad as I did when I was depressed and I wasn't looking after myself. So that was then a good eye opener to you need to look back and think, well, I've managed to work through this and I've done that, so I can push myself a little bit more. I can take that next step. Or if you are in a really, really dark place and you are struggling, you've just got to break it down. Just take one more step. Just do this one more thing. Just do five minutes of this thing. Like, it's all mental. Your body will do what it's capable of doing. It'll soon tell you when it's not. Like, you just won't get the lift, or, something will tell you. But you've got to think about, is it really telling you that, or are you just making an excuse? So it's all mental, 100%. And I think I've proved that last year by doing those marathons untrained and stuff, and to show people that it's all in your mind. I knew I was going to do it, regardless of training. Like, I could have trained for 8 months and still got an injury. It wouldn't have mattered. I would have still ended up having to hobble along in that 100 miles or that day 9 of the marathons. It was my mind that got me through, not my body.
Right. That is something that I don't think enough people realize, is that mind over matter exists in every way. You really can. And it exists in multiple ways. So your mind can be the reason why you accomplish a task, and it'll also stop you a lot sooner than your body could have just kept on going. When we're taking a look at, your career has been fun. It's been, I feel like you've done more than most people do in a 20-year career, only in a couple. But what's next? Like, what are the goals? Are you looking at a comp coming up? Are you looking at certain shows to commentate? What are you thinking?
So, believe it or not, this is going to be, I wouldn't say a quieter year because I've got a lot going on. But this, for me, is a year to enjoy what I've achieved so far. And yeah, just enjoy it a little bit. I'm still got goals. I want to lose a little bit more weight. I want to increase my strength. I've got Scotland's Strongest Woman in April. I want to attend different fun fitness events, maybe do a high rocks. No, I might do a marathon just because I can, which sounds big-headed, just because I can, but I know I can do one. I know I can do multiple. So I would like to be able to go in. I've never done an organized marathon, so I'd love to go in and just see that my body still has that. But to be honest, I have worked and grafted so much the last 5 years. I haven't really taken time to appreciate what I've achieved. So my goal this year is just to enjoy it and embrace Giants Live, embrace OSG, embrace my competitions, be grateful for what I've got, the gym, my members, my community, do some more charity work, a little bit less stressful charity work. But yeah, just my goal this year is to keep growing as a person, but also enjoy what I've achieved because I've worked so hard for it. So I'm gonna enjoy it this year.
You've earned that right. That is for sure. Maybe it took you beating your body to a pulp a little bit over the past couple months, but you deserve the break. And sometimes it's important to reflect. That's something that not enough people do in any kind of sport. When you're operating at such a high level, you burn yourself out, even on the things you love the most, if you don't take a second or many seconds to just go, I did that. I did that. Let me go. And so people get so caught up in the addiction of next. But be it a competition, be it a project. And then they wonder, oh, I don't love this thing anymore. And so I think that's very important. That's a good way of looking about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it did take me pushing myself to my absolute limit to realize that I haven't been appreciating things. You're spending 18 days doing 18 marathons. You're going to reflect on certain things. And that I reflected that a lot of things. And I haven't taken time to appreciate what I have built up in my community. I absolutely love I'm obsessed with my kids. I love them. They're so cool. I love being around them. They're fun. They're awesome. I love it. And they're so supportive of me that I'm I want to be there more for them. I want to show them that it isn't just next thing, because I am like that. And I'll always be like that, but I also want to show them, appreciate what you're achieving. You're amazing. Look what you've done, where you can continue to set goals, but they don't always have to be massive goals that are going to exhaust you. You can enjoy the process. I love that challenge, but this year I just want to enjoy it and share my experiences and help more people and inspire more people. I have got one big goal, actually. I'm in the process of writing my own book, so that's exciting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I've written 5 chapters already, so that's my goal by the end of the year, is to finish the book and get it published. So that's one big goal. So I think being able to write that, and I really need to be present so I can write it. So that's another reason why I'm taking it a little bit easier this year and just enjoying it. I'm just enjoying what I've achieved because I love my life and it's time to appreciate it a little bit more, I think.
Please tell us when that book's out, because you've got some readers right here. That's for sure.
Oh, you will find out. I am excited, and it's being audio as well, which will be hilarious. How much do you think I'll get distracted and be like, oh, look, there's something shiny.
I'm going to skip the reading. I'm just going to listen to the audio. That's better. I'm all in.
Yeah. It's so much fair. So much fair.
Well, we will put your social media handles and whatnot in the description below. Everyone, thank you so much for listening this week. Again, highly, highly recommend following Nicola. She is wonderful in all the ways. And Nicola, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's amazing. Love it.